Wagwan, my name is Trevor Went. I'm a visual artist raised in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and currently based in DC. And I make art to challenge perspectives and give hope to marginalized and oppressed peoples. And I don't ever pay full price for gear. First off, I don't pay full price for gear for 3 reasons. 1, shooting is mad expensive, which I talked about from the beginning. Off top, you need a camera, and then if you're shooting video, you need a light, you need a mic, you need a computer to edit this stuff on. You might need an audio interface of some sort. If you have a cinema camera, you're gonna need a cage. If you have a smaller camera that you wanna get rid of the micro jitters, you need a cage, you need a tripod. Oh, if you're shooting in the studio as a photographer, you need triggers, you need strobes, you need all of these different things, right? And the list gets longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. And before you know it, you bankrupt living in a basement with a dude named Jimmy who only showers on Tuesdays.
Whoa, that's nasty.
Now that's a bit of exaggeration, but y'all get what I'm saying. Stuff can get really expensive really quick. And all of a sudden you're in a space of life that, that stuff is kind of taken over. You hope that you're investing in something that's gonna have good turnover, but let's be real, like entrepreneurship and shooting in general and trying to create a stock for yourself, a brand for yourself in whatever lane you're trying to get into, it's not easy. If it was, everyone would do it. And I know there's more people doing it now than ever before, but it still takes a lot of work. And those of you who are deep in this game, you know that. I know y'all see this stuff on YouTube constantly. Some new photographer, some new filmmaker, someone out there is promoting this new camera that just came out, this new gimbal, this new this, that, and the third. That's what these brands are paying them, these partnerships for, to tell them, oh, we want you to reach out to your audience base so that we can get more buys on this individual product. And the problem with that, there's nothing wrong with that. People need that information, but in this mentality, in this space of like this capitalistic society that we live in, there's a sense that everything, there's never enough, right? There's a sense that I don't ever have enough. And so it's really easy to become a gear junkie. If I get more of this and I get this type of light and I get this type of accessory, if I get this filtration, this lens, this camera, this, that, and the third, I can make this big thing that I'm aiming for. And so there's a lack of contentment in using what you have. And there's also this push societally to be like, I need more. And in reality, you could probably make a lot of stuff with the stuff that you have. And that's a bit of a tangent, but it kind of sits within the same space of life that for me, gear is expensive, and it is better for me to focus on the things that I have and utilize as much as I can than just being focused on grabbing all these different things. And for me, since stuff is so expensive, and it's hard out in these streets to really make a living off of this stuff, that you've got to be mindful of the different stuff and how expensive it is and how to rock with it. So second, look, I don't care what nobody says, used gear works just as good as new gear. And that is not an all-engrossing statement. There's definitely plenty of things that have been used before and aren't in great condition, but a lens that is a little bit worn, that the outside doesn't look as shiny as the other one, it's gonna work just as good as if you got it straight from the camera company, straight from the lens manufacturer. And so for me, it's like, what is the functionality of this thing? What is the purpose of me getting this? And if it performs the function, why am I tripping off of getting something exactly brand new when it's gonna do the same job that I need it as if it's used? Look, when you get higher in the cinematography world, people are renting lenses, right? They're renting gear left and right in order to produce stuff. You see these big movies, like the DP is not coming on. DP is director of photography, for those of y'all who don't know, which is like the cinematographer, the person in control of the look. In a lot of sets, sometimes the director has a lot more direct control, but I digress. A DP is not walking on set with an Arri Alexa. They're not walking on set with the camera tech, the lens tech, whatever that they need in order to shoot the film. They're renting all of these things. And what is rented gear but used gear? So I don't care what nobody says. You don't need everything brand new. There are benefits to that, which I will get to in a little bit, but in reality, The used gear works just as good as the new gear. So care about the function rather than the status of whether it's new or not. Here's an example for me, like straight up from my own gear kit. So anybody who knows video knows that video tripods are not cheap. And the camera that I use, that is my cinema camera, is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. And it is the camera that is shooting me right now. But when you build out a camera, when you add in all the different functions and features that you want with it, it's gonna hit you with a decent amount of weight. So I needed a video tripod to better feel comfortable with stabilizing the joint. So I bought this tripod off of eBay. And instead of buying the new latest and greatest version of a Manfrotto tripod, I bought an older version of a Manfrotto tripod, and I switched out the head with a Manfrotto 502, whatever the letter at the end is, I think it's a D. And so I switched out the head and I used the legs and everything works great. It's a really, really great tripod. And I paid like $160 for it, for the legs. And then the head, I spent like another 120 or something like that, maybe less, 116 bucks. And so it was really, really cheap to get something that might have cost me almost $1,000 in another situation, or over $1,000. So just keep in mind, think about Facebook Marketplace, think about eBay, think about OfferUp, think about all these different places that you could potentially get used gear. You know, look at people's Instagram or Twitter pages, Facebook groups, etc., in order to get the gear that you need to execute the projects and the things that you're actually trying to do. And the last reason why I don't buy gear full price is that being more frugal about it, it helps you to be more intentional about purchases. I talked about this a little bit earlier. You don't need the latest and greatest to do the work that you need to do. And if you're buying stuff new, it gets there quicker. Amazon Prime's gonna give it to you in 2 days. B&H is gonna give it to you in 2 days. And you're gonna have all these different spaces where you're just quickly getting this turnover of getting gear into your pocket. And some people sell gear and trade camera bodies and systems and stuff like that really easily and all the time. But that stuff takes time, and it takes time away from creating, just straight up. And so for me, if I take a slower time in finding the right gear, I'm thinking a lot more intentionally about what do I need for the purposes that I need it for. It's like, could I have like a crazy setup of cinema gear in my house? Could I have like an Aperture 1200D and all of these, and have the biggest light dome I can get from Aperture, have all of these different flags, can have all of these different scrims, have all of this different diffusion, have a full gaffer setup in my house, which is a lighting tech for those of you who don't know. And so I could do all these things. I could have all the latest and greatest lenses. I could have 5 camera bodies, 2 camera bodies, whatever, you know, for all of these different things that I might need or think I might need, but I would never use them. I wouldn't ever need them for my day-to-day normal kind of production of things. And so it really kind of helps me to slow down and think about, yo, what do you need for what you're actually aiming for? What do you need for the things that you're actually trying to create and the things that you're actually trying to do? I've got a friend who is a director and a DP, and he doesn't even own a cinema camera at his own house. He has a little Fuji camera that he uses to capture the moments of his family and stuff like that, but he does not own a cinema camera, and he's a really solid DP. And so in reality, you have to think about the type of stuff that you're doing, the type of stuff that you want to do, and what you actually need to execute those things. And just like film for people helps them to slow down their processes in creating photographs, one of the things that slowing down your gear purchases does is help you really figure out what you need. Okay, so there's a couple of downsides to this. Obviously, you have to give the opposite perspective. And the downsides are you're trading time for money. To find a good deal on gear is not as quick as just going on Amazon and clicking and buying something real quick. The lens I'm shooting this on is a Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter. And I bought that new. And I bought it new because I didn't want to go through the process. I didn't have the time to go through the process of finding a deal on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. I really had to get this lens in as quickly as I could because I had to go and shoot some stuff. And so I bought it full price. You know, you have to kind of weigh that. Is the time that it's going to take to find the thing worth that trade-off of time in your life? And you can't get time back. The other part of it is that you don't get a warranty. you can't get it back as easily. Yeah, there's buyer protections in terms of like eBay and places like that. But if you're buying something off OfferUp, or somewhere other where someone can kind of trick you in the beginning to think something is working more functionally than it is, then you could end up with a lemon in a way. But on that note, really be intentional about spending the time with something, testing it out in a public space or something like that in order to make sure that something works properly. People will try to get over on you. So you've got to test stuff out and really make sure that stuff is solid before you buy it. But in the end, y'all, there are really smart ways that you can buy gear used. So that's all I got for y'all today. If you like this video and got anything from it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell situation so you can get notified every time I drop a new video. And I'll catch y'all on the flip. Be easy, be safe, peace. That was pretty good. It took forever.